Hey, buddy.
Yes, sir.
I was at a restaurant this week. I was out with my wife and a couple that we are friends with. They are an older couple, a little more well-established than us in life. Both of them run their own companies. And typically, I order dinner for my wife. When we go out to a restaurant, she likes it. Not because I have to. Yep. She enjoys when I
What's the thing?
Take that off of her, right? And it's a chivalrous thing to do. And we get in here, and beforehand, I bring up the menu and say, I need you to pick what you're having tonight for dinner. I don't want to order on your behalf. Not because you don't want that, but because when we walk in there, this power woman, if you will, is going to look and say, how dare you order dinner for your wife?
Oh,
it was the optics of it.
Catch-22.
Kind of a catch-22. And I'm like, I'm going to look like a chauvinistic male, or I'm going to look like all this other stuff. And I thought, what is the right definition in today's society? And the question I had was, is chivalry dead or is chivalry evolving?
Great topic. Let's get into it.
Let's get into that.
We are just two guys navigating this chapter called midlife. What started as two friends swapping stories that turned into a quest to answer life's biggest questions about this mid-crisis mystery. Join us as we talk it out, laugh through the chaos, and get real about the struggles. This is our podcast. This is our question. Is it menopause or menopause?
So, here's the question. Is chivalry dead or is chivalry
evolved?
Has it evolved? Manhattan. That's my drink.
Uncle Jim just called me too. I've had this conversation a bunch. I'm old school. I was brought up old school. Not only that, I like to think I have manners when it comes to a wife or an elder or anything. Like I have much respect for, regardless. And I still do open the doors, things like that.
Well, let's define chivalry. So
okay, fair enough.
So I was raised, be nice to say, chivalry is also elders and kids and everything else. If walking down the sidewalk, my son would not know this, by the way. Well, he would, but most his generation wouldn't. If we're walking down the sidewalk, I'm naturally on the side with the traffic.
Yep.
Right? That's the side that I take. That's chivalrous.
I had a woman compliment me once on that because I was on the opposite side, turning a corner or coming across a crosswalk, and then I physically took my wife and moved her over. And I walked on the side, and there was a lady there, and she looked at me, and she's like, that's impressive. Good for you.
Chivalry.
Yeah.
If you're on a bus, a crowded bus, and there's a pregnant woman standing, you naturally give up your seat. That's a no-brainer, right? Waiting room at a hospital, whatever. I mean, we give up our seats.
Absolutely.
That's
No
chivalry.
question. No question.
Walking the other side of the sidewalk. There's the...
What is the true definition of chivalry? Let's look this up. I'm real curious right now.
You know what? I am going to look.
We can do this. I just want to know what that. I think we know what the idea behind it is, but what is the actual? Because this actually sparked some interest with me about one of the other podcasts that we did about what is it to be a man.
Right.
I don't even know if chivalry was a part of it.
It dawns from the medieval knight system with religious, moral, and social code, and it says a combination of qualities expected of an ideal knight: courage, honor, courtesy, justice, readiness to help the weak. Damn! Readiness to help the weak. My wife's not weak. She's a manager. She's a boss ass. We call her boss ass chick at home. She does. But
also
outside of work,
cries.
Yeah, outside of work. Is absolutely has all the feminine qualities. God, I hope I'm not bad for saying that, but she wants me to open doors. She wants me to order meals.
There's nothing wrong with that.
She wants me to do these things.
Nothing wrong with that.
But when is it wrong? So,
is it wrong?
Well, it has. It has backfired a couple times on me where I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and order your meal for you. But we're in front of colleagues, and no, I can do that on my own. And I'm like, well, pick and choose your battles here. Like, which is it? Am I chivalrous or not?
That's a good one.
So that leads back to are we balancing equality with romantic gestures? Am I demeaning her by ordering for her at a restaurant or opening her door? I would do the same thing for the gentleman bosses behind her. Let me open the door for you.
Yeah.
It's just that's not chivalry. I'm not helping the weak as the...
I think that would be definitely, if that had been discussed at one point in time, that it's appreciated by you ordering, And then for her to not, respect that, shame on her.
So I
think
get,
that's
I get annoyed with. I have a young adult son who is. I taught him from a young age. I said, and this is true to this day. If I die with no money in the bank and leave nothing behind, what I die knowing is that my son will stand in front of the town center mall with his hand on the door, allowing strangers to walk in. I taught him that.
Yes.
For that, I go to my grave happy saying, I died a rich man. That is a rich quality in somebody, and I appreciate it. What I failed to teach him is hold the door open for women, buy dinner, order at a restaurant, walk them to their car, help them put their jacket on after dinner, and sweep their hair through their jacket as they're doing it. That's chivalry. And he's looking going, well, and here's a valid point. Here is what is modern chivalry. So modern, he looks and says, why am I paying for the meal? We both make the same amount of money. It's been well discussed in the marketplace that, equality for men and women, we both make the same amount of money. How is it me that's paying for the meal on a first date? It's expected. Don't tell me it's not.
No, absolutely. I think for the majority it is. It's expected.
So is that chivalry? And where's it going to get you? Do you know how many shows out there exist right now where the women it's expectations?
Is it the modern woman changing it?
Yes. Yes. We watched that podcast or we saw a clip on it and you were talking and you're like, this guy's a dick. And he is a dick. And he kind of demeans women on his show. But he had a valid point on there once and he said, oh, okay. We're about to go to war. And when they do the draft, they're going to draft all the 18-year-old men. You want to be included in there? There's memes going on around it and blah, blah, blah. Not to say that women couldn't be, but all of them stood up and said, hell no, we don't want to go.
Yeah.
It's expected of the men. It's expected of them to pay on the first date. And there's 100 people, 1,000 people that are writing in and tell us we're wrong, but it is expected. Society expects it.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. I think that's an interesting, that would be a whole other talk about value. What each person brings to the table for value-wise or what they expect value-wise. But it's part of this a little bit, So give me some examples. Okay.
Can you think of any examples of modern chivalry? I've got one that's popping into my head. For example, just to plant the seed here. I got to sit through chick flicks. Chivalry chick flicks. Skunk said the stump stunk.
So I'm going to question, I'm going to have an issue with this because now I'm questioning, is that chivalry or is that just relationship expectations? I think it does fall under chivalry.
I'll tell you,
though.
if you and I
I'm
ever
gonna
go
say
out to a movie, we are not going to go watch The Notebook. We're going to watch Rambo.
That was a really good movie. Oh my God. Whoever wrote that, kudos.
Kudos.
It
Yes.
was brilliant. But no, not likely. We're going to go watch
We're
Gladiator.
not.
Or
And
something.
it's not because we're alpha males. It's not because we're trying to show each other. It's just not our cup of tea. So why do we watch them? We watch them for our significant other. We watch them because of the...
Because we share. You compromise and you do.
So that's not chivalry? That's not modern chivalry?
Is that modern or what would that?
don't know. What's modern chivalry?
Well, what would our grandparents do? Would they go to the local cow milking event and
They would 100% do what the man wanted to do. If they were
absolutely.
going out, that's what they would. I
Absolutely.
promise you, and that's just that generation. They would 100%.
So what was chivalry
We're going
back
out
then?
to
I'm
watch.
going to war and get shot.
That's not chivalry. That was your duty. That was expectation of men versus women, and that's a society thing. So it comes down to we read the definition of chivalry,
But
and
then
that
they
was
would come back and say, I did this for you.
right. Well, what else are they going to say?
Well, that's what I mean. Like that's okay. So I go back to that comment I made earlier about where is it a rough cross?
Societal
Or a
expectation.
crossover, yeah.
Societal expectation. Society doesn't expect you to open the door or to pay for dinner or order for them or help them put their coat on. I think do you do it for recognition?
I hate recognition.
Right? You put your wife's
hate
coat
it.
on because, well, it's just what you do.
Yeah.
Anything to make her life easier because
That's
you
what
love
I
her.
don't do.
And I think that's, don't you? Oh, I do. I almost never not put her coat on and sweep the hair and blah, blah, blah.
I'm just always in the way. So I just,
yeah. Where I struggle is
last.
there are times when it has slapped me on the face like, no, I got this. If we're in an argument, no, I got this. I can do it myself. Well, you can, but what's changed? We had a disagreement over finances and now I can't put your coat on for you. Why? Now it's weaponized.
okay. So now, this is a good point. Chivalry is now determined by what the other person thinks of it as. So you could still be the most chivalrous person out there, but the person that is getting it may not accept it or fight against it or whatever, you're still being chivalrous. They're just not accepting it. So is it wrong?
There's a thought popping into my head, and I have to use the other example. I struggle with jerks in public. But what's the definition of jerk? And this is going to circle back to chivalry. But years ago, I was talking to my business partner who didn't have all the same attributes as me and same mindsets, but taught me this one thing in life. And he said, you know, when you're walking into a mall and you hold the door open for people and they walk through, and I said, yep. And he says, you don't need thank yous or anything else. You just feel good amongst yourself doing it. He says, how do you feel when you walk into a mall and the guy in front of you doesn't hold the door open for you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a dick. The door slams my face. I'm like, what a dick. And he says, sure, you think what a dick. And then 10 minutes later, you see that guy in the aisle of Walmart and you're still like, what a dick. And you're holding on to that anger and the resentment. That guy doesn't know you exist. He has no idea he shut the door. Didn't even cross his mind. He's living in pure bliss while you're hanging on to that anger. And he says, so here's what I do. When I walk up to a door and there's somebody walking through in front of me, my expectation is that they are going to slam the door in my face. That's my expectation.
Yeah.
Now, if they slam the door in my face, they haven't upset me. I expected them to do so. If the door just shuts and they didn't think to open it for me, they've exceeded my expectation. Now I'm definitely not mad and I can go about my day. And if they hold the door open for me, well, what? Let's buy this guy a coffee. And I thought, what a unique approach to that. Where this circles back to chivalry.
I have a different approach.
Chivalry is, okay, so I hold the door open for my wife. I help her put her jacket on and so on and so forth. What about on a cold, rainy day, we're running out to the vehicle. I'm holding the Christmas presents to get to the parents' house on time. She runs out. The driveway's narrow. She opens the door to get in. And I'm stuck there getting poured on while she's fixing her hair. And the door's wide open, blocking
Chivalry
me from
is only male.
It's only male. There's no reversal to it. Should I resent her for doing so? It's an annoyance, and I don't resent her. But I'll call her on it and say,
would have been nice.
It's becoming an expectation that I'm holding doors open and getting jackets, but it would have been nice if you considered that.
Common courtesy, I think, is a thing.
Yeah.
Now,
so chivalry doesn't go in reverse, does it?
Not according to the definition, unless female are knights. Not very many knight females that I'm aware of.
Right.
Is that me? Sorry.
No, I'm probably we're both
Stroke it out.
wheezing. Yeah, there's my chronic asthma.
Just getting over something.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a unique subject. It is
very unique.
Once again, is it we started this topic by me saying we're going out for dinner. I always order dinner. We check beforehand, but on the way up to a restaurant, what are you in the mood for tonight? What do you want to eat? I don't know, order for me. But if we're at a steakhouse, I like steak, not chicken. If we're at a chicken house, I like chicken, not
how
chicken.
often do you pick for you?
At 100 out of 100 times.
So if let's go for dinner comes up, you pick.
Where we're going, it's a discussion. But yeah, I pick. I mean,
nice.
Are you in the mood for this, or this? And then I bat my head against the wall 50 fucking times and then say, okay, well, Chinese it is. Okay. So typically it's just easier to say this. But which is that funny point of when you look at your wife and say, you're never going to believe where I'm taking you for dinner tonight.
Brilliant.
Take 3 guesses. Are we going for Chinese? How'd you know? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's just a side note
smart
on
people
the
out there.
episode of Menopause. Use that, gentlemen. Use it. It's all yours. I am afraid of other women looking, saying, how dare he order for her? And that's not chivalrous. And in the wrong environment, that may come across as offensive. Should it?
Yeah. No,
If Hillary Clinton becomes president of the United States and Bill opens the door for her on the way in somewhere, so does the Secret Service agent. I mean, that's just courtesy, not chivalry.
I think that once again trails back to the person receiving it. I think that's an ignorant thing.
Okay. So the more powerful the woman, the less chivalrous the man has to be or can be. If your wife was the manager of CJ Wentworth, your wife is JP Morgan, the top CEO, and you're walking somewhere together and you're opening the door for her, is that demeaning to her? Is that, I'm helping the weak? You know what I mean? I don't know. Or is it still chivalrous? I don't think it's about weakness. I think it's just is it romantic? So. Is chivalry romance? And if so, did the 80-year-old woman I gave my seat to on the bus want some of this? It was pretty romantic.
That's interesting. I had a really weird picture in my head. I was at shopping the other day, and I was in line, and there was an older gentleman behind me. He had a couple items. I had one item, and he had a cane, and I saw him struggling a little bit. And I said, "Sir, would you like to go ahead of me? I have no all time." And he goes, "Nope." I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Nope." And I thought it was interesting because I was like, I felt like he was just like, "No, I don't need your help. I'm not thing." And then couple minutes later, legit, he walked up to me and he said, I really do appreciate that. But I didn't feel like it at first, and then I did. I don't know where this is going, but it was just an interesting thing. It was kind of an interesting little take on it. But once again, it was the person receiving his issue.
I think, first of all, I think chivalry is dying. I don't think that our next generation appreciates what it is.
Yeah.
I promise you, try and instill to my son and walk on this side of the sidewalk, open up doors, so on and so forth.
I can prove this.
Society-wise, he looks and says, I'm sending the wrong message if I pay for dinner. And I'm like, no, you don't.
What's the wrong message?
That I can be used, that I am a dollar figure, that...
Oh, there's that.
Right?
Okay.
That, hey, and his attitude is, in all of the equalness that's going on in the world right now, if myself and a woman go on a date and we both work at the same factory, make the same wage, have all the same rents and all the same bills, why am I expected to pay for dinner? If we are going to enter in a relationship, are we setting the bar so that the onus is on me, that she's doing me some kind of a reward by having dinner with me? I don't want that. I'm rewarding her. She gets a chance to be with...
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm like, well, that's a valid point. And I think we've all thunk it over the years, and especially in his day and age where they're watching social media, and there are so many nasty women out there who just, let's go out for lobster and wine. And you better show me your credit score before we go out for dinner, because that's all I'm interested in. That's not chivalry anymore.
Well, the men still have chivalry, but it's like I said, I go back to the...
Chivalry's become an expectation?
I'm going to bet if that nasty woman is expecting all that stuff, she has no idea what chivalry is.
Agreed.
She's just looking for a freebie of some sort of a dominance thing. I don't even know what that would be. But I think it really does play a part. And I think the big issue with equality and all that stuff is playing a big part in chivalry right now.
Yep.
Whereas before, like our grandmother would be, "Grandma, we're going to go do this." "Yes, sir." You know what I mean? Like I think it was more that back then.
So maybe if men were...
today.
And I'm not saying they are now, but let's say men were dominant back then. Here's where we're going for dinner. Get in the car. Make sure you have dinner on the table. The laundry's done and blah, blah, blah. But when we go to the door, when we are out in front of other people, I will open the door for you. I will make you feel like, you know what? Then because life was all about women being subservient back then, when you made them feel special, that was chivalry. Maybe that's what it was. But that just led me to my new point of... maybe it's just in public. I got to tell you, I say this to my wife if we go out in public. My job is not to make you jealous. My job is to make other women jealous of you. I want all the women in the room to look at me and say, fuck, I wish I was his wife. The guy, he's putting on her jacket, he's ordering for her, he's getting the drinks, he's walking on the outside, he's opening a door in the car. Why doesn't my boyfriend do that? And I kind of get a sense of pride going, why don't your men do this? Hell, I'll rub it in their face and be like, hey, I noticed you didn't open the door for your wife. Just kind of, it's that alpha thing that we do. But behind closed doors, if we're at home, if it's just the two of us and we're running to the store real quick, I don't always open that door, come to think of it. I try to, and I do often, but sometimes it's just...
Doesn't have to happen all the time.
So... Does chivalry exist behind closed doors? Yes, because before we leave, I come the outfit, I put the jacket on, I open the door,
I think chivalry is a dying breed because it's definitely learned, definitely from the father figure, probably most likely.
Was your dad chivalrous? No, not a chance.
No, he was in a different way. Like now that I'm older, now that he's gone, I look back and I think, man, that was a very... interesting man, but now I get what he was trying to do.
Give me an example. Old school chivalry.
Old school chivalry.
He was on the road all the time, right? He got the mortgage paid for and blah blah blah. But he didn't raise the kids. He wasn't there. He wasn't. Did he come home with flowers? Did he smack her ass in public before her dance?
Maybe. I didn't pay attention back then. I think I said this the other day. That was the one thing I can remember that I enjoyed was he would come home with a bag of, they're called keeflies. They look
I
like
know keeflies,
banana breads or whatever with sugar or salt on them. I haven't seen them for years, but I can remember that was a treat. And he would always randomly bring something home. And like that was kind of like a trait for him. Like we didn't see him very often, but when he did, it was always something kind of nice like that. But then he's
His love language was gifts.
beating you on the back of the head saying, get the hell out of the house. So, my thing was like, the one thing I remember this when I was a little kid, we were at, I think I might've even told you this story. I won't say what house we were at, but we were at a Christmas function and I was quite young. I was probably 10, maybe 8 or 10. And the elder was playing on the piano Christmas songs and everyone got together and they were singing Christmas songs and some guy was drunk and acting up and saying how stupid this was and whatever. And I can remember my dad saying, stop it. And he better shut up or whatever. And then the guy lipped him back and then he just kind of let it go. And everyone's like, oh, this is getting annoying. And then the guy did it again. And it was like within 2 seconds, he was getting the snot beat out of him and drug outside and thrown out the door.
That's
and down
your
the thing.
dad's version of chivalry.
So, and he threw the guy outside and come back in and he was like, okay, where were we? And we would start singing songs again. And of course, everyone was like, what the hell just happened? Like he's got blood on his hands and it was pretty nasty. Like I was pretty scared as a kid. But on the other hand, that was like, he's like, okay, I made everyone, I've de-threaded everybody at this point. So
His version of being the protector.
If someone would have said something, to my mother or bumped into her or did something like that, oh yeah, like he would beat the snot out of him. But I don't remember like holding the door. So where did I get it from?
I don't know.
As a scout, I did Cub Scouts Ventures. I did the whole
I
friggin'
didn't get
thing.
it from that. All I learned to do is touch Unky Touchies in the tent.
You didn't do it all. When you do it all, it's a big thing. And that was and once again, probably depends who your leader was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
our big thing was respect and to this day I still remember like even now shame on me, I guess I've stopped doing it because I got in trouble one time, but I would help the old lady cross the street. And then one lady like beat me with her purse, like don't touch me and get away from me. And
You know what? To that end, I've got one for you. You know how I grew up. We grew up quite literally living in a grocery store. So we had a like a little house in the prairie or mercantile like Nels and Olson there. I wanted to throw a peg in that Nelly every once in a while.
Ooh.
Anyway, our house was quite literally attached to the store. And after school, or most kids had chores like cut the lawn or do the dishes or whatever. Mine was you're working in the store. And I grew up in an era where we lived on a busy main street and there were plenty of people who came in, elders, and we would carry their groceries out to their car for them. But there was one woman who lived a block and a half away. Now I don't know, 8 years old, and I just know it's the right thing. So I would help this woman cross the street with her groceries. And then I would walk her the block and a half home and take them in. And often, and I mean 9 times out of 10 when I did this, I would get a tip. I would get a quarter or a dime. It didn't matter. It was a token of appreciation. I'm like, yes. And this one time I helped this woman across the street. I walked her a block and a half home. I remember it was raining. I felt bad for her. We got there and she's like, just set him on the porch and go. And I'm almost standing there with my hand out, like, looking for my friend Bill or expectations. Of, I get back and I'm disgruntled. And Dad looks at me and he says, I've never been so disappointed in you in my life. Did you help that woman in expectation of getting something in return?
Ah, yes.
And I'm like, yes.
Yep.
And he says, listen, you will 100 times take somebody's groceries to the car or open their door for them. And if only once you get thanked, that's your payment for all 100. Because that's the person you are, and that's the person I've raised you to be. If I open the door for my wife or put her jacket on or order dinner for him at a restaurant, do I have an expectation of getting some later on that evening? Well, first, yes, I do. But not because of that. That's just my expectation
in general.
life.
You wake up in the morning going, well.
Yeah. She would argue sometimes and say, no, I tried to pay you back and you were too tired. I mean, I am
Fair
getting
enough.
old. But no, we don't do it for thanks. I think the definition of chivalry is not helping out the weak. It's doing something to make your partner's life easier or somebody else's life easier out of genuine compassion in your heart, not because they're weaker or they need you to do it for them, but because it makes you feel good and them feel good, and together you both win.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean pay for dinner or sit through a chick flick or give up your seat on the bus, but it can't hurt.
It can't hurt. It's all part of it, too.
I don't know that financial expectations is chivalrous, but it can't hurt. If you can afford it, by all means, it can't hurt. But
what, I don't understand.
Like going out for dinner and the men expected to pay on a first date.
Oh, yeah. I still feel weird by that.
I do. I always have, weird. Always will. Yeah. It's just the thing. Hell, if we go out for dinner with you and your wife, we're going to argue over who's paying the bill. And I'm not arguing. I'll let you.
I'm old now. I'm over 50, so it's no, you want to pay. And you know what? Actually, you know what I learned on that? And that was, I learned this from an old Dutch gentleman that I worked with. And he said...
Let the other person pay. I already know.
He did. But not in that sense. In the sense of his thing was...
we could put ice and cup on live TV, right?
Sure.
Just ice. Just ice.
He said... what you're doing is disrespecting that person. And if someone says, here, I'll pay for it, and you say, no, I'll pay for it, and you say, no. So, and his theory behind it was, no, let them pay for it because it's a gift. Think of it like it's a gift from them. Now, some people won't think of it that way, but ever since then, I'm like, eh. So if you're somewhere and you're like, no, I got it, I'm like, okay, I won't even think twice about it now. I'm like, it's a gift.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, but it's weird when you're with a client or anything. Well, client's different, but like any sort of, even a friend, even if it's a female friend, you just pay.
Yeah, I don't keep score. I think you just pay.
You just do. Like that's what I mean.
I think when you know somebody, like, I mean, I come over here, I brought lunch today, but you got lunch last night. I bring a bottle of whiskey because we're usually drinking. I just don't know. You just kind of...
I think you just play the part, yeah.
And
goes. Some people never do.
Some people don't.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I don't. If there was... trust me, like I think we have a lot of mutual friends that are that way that'll never, ever pay for anything. And probably somewhere in the middle-ish, I'll be like, son of a frig. Like, that person's...
I don't know that you can say son of a frig.
I just did.
I know.
No, that's
I think legally you're allowed to say it, and it would not make any sense. But in front of me, I never want to hear those words coming out of your mouth again. What the fuck is wrong with you?
That's a nice word. I like it. It's a nice term. I am copywriting son of a frig.
Copyright.
That's a new shirt.
It's going right beside the cranky pants.
Yeah, I could see complaining a couple times, but then after a while, it's like, no, I just expect to do it. Because that's my... And, here's another... This is way off topic. But if you go to a house party, my theory of a house party is if we're holding a party, we are paying for all of the cocktails, all of the booze, the food. You come to our place with nothing.
Yeah.
And you enjoy what we have. But going to other people's, it's BYOB, and that's fine. I don't mind that. But now I'm like, I question now, what is the right thing to do?
Even if it's BYOB, even if it's somebody else invites me and says it's got a... I show up with a bottle of whiskey every time.
As a gift.
Yes.
As a gift, especially if I like it.
Right.
Then I'll be like, hey, you should try this. Let's open it right now. And then we'll try. It's there.
I brought you a 12-pack of Trojans.
Hey, that's a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant... We should just pop that box open right now. Wife, where are you? But even the thing now, especially, and it's a very interesting... This goes back to men are very easier to please than women. Because I guarantee you, if you come over to my place and we had a spread of alcohol, you would pick something.
Sure.
There'd be something. And most women would be like, oh, do you have the White Claw mango with a touch of strawberry and lime in it? No. It was a limited edition that one time they brought out.
Got a big glass of go fuck yourself over here.
But even if you didn't like it, you would make something.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't like beer, but if I was somewhere and they all had a big vat of beer out, okay, I'll have a beer.
Here's one for you. This is, I don't know why I didn't think about this. We talked about this earlier. We get done filming a podcast and we're like, why didn't I say this? It just popped in my head. This very last weekend. Every single day of my life, my wife's love language must be acts of service because she's the queen of it. She looks after me.
When you say lips and acts of service, I'm just a child right now.
This, honestly, she's an angel. I want for nothing. In fact, if I get up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I got an itchy ear, I need a Q-tip, I'm in trouble. Don't you dare get your own Q-tip. You're stealing that experience from me, Keith.
Yeah.
She truly is that person, and I love her for it until we are at a house party. So if we're at home and it's the middle of the night, and it's almost annoying. She's so overwhelmingly nice that if I sit there, if we're watching a movie and my head glances to the left to look if I have a drink on the counter, she'll pause the movie and say, "What is it you need?" I'm like, "My God, I have to shift my eyes instead of moving my head now for fear that we'll pause the movie." But that's how adamant she is. Let me get you something. But we were at a party this weekend, and come to think of it, every party. And my role at that party is to look while she's in front of other people and say, "Sweetheart, can I get you another drink?" I'm telling you that 360 days a year, she is mad at me for getting my own drink. But my God, if 5 days a year we're at a house party like that, hey, sweet, she's jiggling the ice in her club. It's time for another drink, and I'm the one getting it.
You're expected to go get her the drink.
I don't know that it's an expectation, but it
is an expectation.
It is an expectation. Come to think of it, if we were watching a movie at home, and I jiggled my glass, she might be like, "Get your own fucking
maybe.
drink."
I doubt it.
I don't have that expectation. She probably would. She'd be like, "Okay, sweetie," she's just that.
I didn't know you were out.
But I think maybe chivalry is the way that I make her feel like a lady in front of others. My husband loves me. Look at the princess that I am at home. I feel like a queen because he treats me like a queen, and I want the world to know it. I spent my time, can I get your friend a drink as well? I'm hospitable, so on and so forth, because I want them to be jealous of the relationship that my wife has with me. Yeah. But is that chivalry?
Kind of. Kind of.
Oh, I wish. Look at. We got to figure out how not to censor these episodes. My God, I hope it doesn't want. Well, don't, because Jeff Bright's head immediately went to, "Can I get you a little puppet action, a little finger puppet action, and some for your friends?" So that's where your brain went right there, isn't it?
I just.
There's enough.
It's just a thing.
Want to ride the pink pony on the Keithy go round? The
men
friend can come too.
Men have motives. Women have.
Men have My God, that's it. Men have motives. You don't. You don't have a motive when you walk on that side of the sidewalk from your wife. That's chivalry.
That's chivalry.
You do
That's right.
when you get her a drink at a party.
Or your friend.
And
you
there's
get
probably
her
an extra
friend's
ounce in
drinks.
it.
That's where the motives come in.
Yeah.
Because you already know you already know what's happening.
Yeah.
With your wife.
Foregone conclusion. Hey, this has been a good episode.
Hey, I've learned a lot.
Past our it was pretty decent. So, you know what? Modern chivalry versus old chivalry. Quality and romantic gestures.
Is there any difference? And is it changing?
It is.
Do we need to bring it back, or do we need to just keep it?
It's a dying breed. It's a dying breed, but I think it's up to us to. And the men listening at home, it is up to us to. Don't forget to open the door for your wife or walk on the right side of the sidewalk. Don't forget every once in a while just to, you know what? Give her a little tap on the ass on the way into a restaurant when you open that door, because that's still chivalry. That's the little.
No one is not. Well, I shouldn't say they're not going to expect it, but the other thing too with that, I think, is if you have kids, show that to your kids. Teach your kids a version of it. Yeah, it just manners. Manners alone. I don't know if it's chivalry. I guess it's okay. Well, that's a whole other thing, but just teach your kids. Manners maketh men. Cheers to a good episode. Okay, buddy. Thank you. Peace out.